I had an idea how to start this, and then we started. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. All right. Welcome back to Boothfellas. I'm Andy Pagana.
I'm Schwartzy.
And I'm Justin Tate.
Nice to meet you, Justin Tate.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. Hey, how are you?
I don't know who these guys are.
Except we're in the booth.
So welcome back to Boothfellas, our second episode. We're here to talk about South Park, the new South Park special, right? Into the Panderverse. Oh, thank you.
Panderverse, yeah.
Come on,
Panderverse.
think of the frame.
Oh yeah. Hi, friend. Into the Panderverse. We just got done watching it.
Yeah, we all watched it together, and we laughed. We laughed and laughed and laughed.
We did.
We did laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
And we have a connection because we both worked for Kathleen
Yes,
Kennedy.
this hits close to home.
Yes.
So jump right into that.
And didn't you just have dinner with her?
At her house.
So I think everybody needs to know what the Panderverse episode is about.
Okay. Yeah.
As much as we can.
Okay.
So
It's pretty complex, actually.
it
Like most
really quite is.
multiverse stories. It doesn't quite make sense, but
Right.
it's South Park.
The idea is that Cartman gets replaced by a woke version of Cartman in the universe he's presently in, and he gets thrown into a woke universe, and then so now Cartman in the current one is a black woman.
Yep.
And everybody's just like, how does this make any sense? And they toss the whole, it's like they go after billionaires, they go after the whole, like, you know, the whole woke thing that's essentially just tearing movies apart right now.
Right.
And the whole reason why movies like Snow White, you know, with the Rachel Zegler and everything, that was all, you know,
They go after Disney.
trash. They go after Disney.
hardcore. I mean, it's starting with the opening title, right? They use like a version of the Disney logo.
Oh,
It says
right,
South
South
Park.
Park.
That was
Yeah.
actually quite
Really,
brilliant.
the Magic Kingdom logo.
It's actually it's like, you know, how like Dumb and Dumber is incredibly brilliantly written.
Yeah.
You know, it's not stupid. It's actually very smart, but it plays dumb, you know?
Well, that's why
It's
like
like
watching
this.
it feels so niche. It's like,
yeah.
who outside of the industry really
Yeah.
even knows about Kathleen Kennedy
Right.
and Disney?
But they kind of
maybe they do.
Well, they kind of showcase that though across the board when it's just like, who's that? And they're like, oh, this is Cartman. And obviously it's like, it's not Cartman, it's, you know, this black lady. And then, you know, everybody who's like not in tune with what's happening in the universe is like, oh, hey, Cartman, we need to like, how do you not notice this? How do you not realize that it's a different person altogether?
No, but what you're saying is like, who, like, that's a mainstream show.
Yeah.
Yes. Who knows Bob Iger? Like, in the mainstream audience, we know because we're in the film industry.
Right.
Who knows Kathleen Kennedy? And those are the two big players in this, right?
Yeah.
In this episode. And they reference that. I mean, that's the whole episode.
So yeah, right. That's literally
Yeah.
the whole episode. And so I guess, you know, maybe she has, because she runs Disney or Lucasfilm,
Yeah.
right, and is kind of in charge of Star Wars, that maybe that's gone out.
She's transcended. It's like, I'd say a lot of people know Kevin Feige, right? Because of
Yeah,
Marvel,
right.
right? Like your average moviegoer.
But I
shockingly
I
knows.
actually have no idea what he looks like. I couldn't pick him out.
He's always wearing a baseball hat.
Okay.
Pulled down.
Oh,
With-
you know,
with Marvel on
The
this.
second you
or-
said that, I knew exactly who.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you mean.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like he doesn't get any heat on him. There's no controversy behind him.
No.
She's had a lot
There
of
was at one
controversy.
point. Remember, people were coming after him for something, and then it just kind of died. I don't know. It's just like it gets replaced by something else. It's like, you know, somebody's getting chastised, and then all of a sudden, you know, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis do something, and the whole world is like, wait, what about these people?
There was one video, and I can't remember who put it out. There was a video where they put out a Kathleen Kennedy video promoting, I don't know if it was a film school or a competition or a contest, and she came out to talk about something.
yes.
What was
on
that for?
YouTube? The
Yes.
one where they turned off the comments.
They turned off the comment.
Yeah.
because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
right.
Right,
I remember this.
It was something to do with the Academy, I think.
Was it the Academy? Yeah.
I forgot what it was exactly, but very rare.
Did
that
they get
turn
rid of
off
the dislike button?
Well, they
too?
put it up-
Wasn't there something
They
like
put
that?
it up first,
Yeah.
Right.
regular, and
Yeah.
then they got a lot of dislikes and a lot of comments, negative comments, and then all of a sudden, those two things were turned off. And, well, you run a YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
Is that hard to do? Can you do that?
I don't know if I even know how I would know how to do that. So there's a lot of pressure, I think, behind the scenes to get that shut down. And I can't remember exactly what was coming out. Was it Han Solo, the Solo movie at the time? I don't remember exactly. Or was it Last Jedi? But, she was getting all the heat for basically ruining Star Wars. And so she comes out to do this video promoting, I guess, let's say it was the Academy. It has nothing to do with what she's doing. But so many people gave her so much hate.
Well, and for those of you who don't know, Kathleen Kennedy is the head of Lucasfilm. Yeah,
that's president of Lucasfilm.
President CEO of Lucasfilm. But she's been lingering in the industry forever. Yeah, like she was
not lingering.
Oh well, not lingering. Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Producing.
It's not like all of a sudden she's just CEO.
Yeah, I mean, she produced your favorite movie.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
Right.
Her first producing credit is E.T.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a good kick off to a career.
Absolutely.
Started with Spielberg.
Absolutely.
And with her and her husband, Frank Marshall, produced all those early Spielberg movies.
Formed Amblin.
Yeah.
Right.
Started at Amblin with Spielberg. Yeah. So a legend. And obviously was close with Lucas. So it kind of made sense when Disney bought Lucasfilm and then Kathy got placed to run it. It all made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On paper.
Right. On paper.
well, that wasn't it George. It was George who set her up for that, right? He wanted her to run the company.
Yeah, but I don't know if he hired her or he, encouraged Disney to hire her.
Right.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gone well, at least reputationally.
Yeah. She had a stellar reputation.
Yeah.
I mean, she still does. But here's the thing: it's different. I say it's probably a different skill set. We can't really speak to this. Producing movies and then running a mini studio under a giant studio. Right. The job's tough.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is she's under the Disney banner with the Kevin Feige.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige's been ridiculously successful with Marvel. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really hasn't had.
Well, they're all trying to take that model and
I think that's part of the problem too.
Across the board.
Yeah, they did that with Star Wars. It's like
and all the
DC tried to try that. It's like, they had this multi-universe.
Yeah.
And let's just jam as many Star Wars movies we can and connect them all. And
the trick, like the hidden thing behind all of that is they're just trying to really figure out a way to put more people in the same movie so that they can get the sale. Like, how do you get Michael Keaton as Batman on screen again? But wait, how do we get him as Batman? How do we get Ben Affleck as Batman? How do we get
who? Ben Affleck.
How do we get Nicolas Cage? Right. How do we get all of them?
You're talking about the multiverse.
It's just like
you're saying.
Oh yeah, so that's the other. That's the other
accent
thing.
on the wrong part of the Affleck.
So he'll always be Ben Affleck to me.
Yeah, that's the other thing that this South Park really takes jabs at is that whole theory, that whole doing the multiverse.
Right.
Which did we mention that in the beginning? All the things that they were.
I think sort of loosely, and at least when I was trying to describe what it was about, it's like that thing, like when you watch Back to the Future, right? In it, you're like, oh yeah, the flux capacitor. Oh yeah, they're going back in time. Oh yeah, the space-time continuum. Yeah, sure. Right, and then you try to tell somebody what the movie's about. And you're like, well, there's this thing, and it's like paper, and it goes through. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
It made sense watching the show, but like a dream that you just can't articulate.
And this is not the first time the South Park guys have taken a hit. No, at like Spielberg, a Disney property, the Indiana Jones, right?
Oh yeah, brutal. Right? You can't even describe it on this G-rated channel. What they did. Yeah. But they've built a career on doing that, skewering anyone and everyone. So it's equal opportunity satire.
It is amazing that this came out.
It is.
Yeah. You sit there and watch, and it's like, wow, this is like you just don't see it a lot.
No,
right?
Well, and they've done it before. Like they're notorious for this kind of material. In the past, I remember the first time I remembered hearing anything that was like really moved the tick or whatever, the needle, is the episode they did about Scientology, right? Like that was it even got the chef Isaac Hayes like, like I'm silly children, I'm out of here, and then they roasted him, and then they roasted him apart. They
he literally got torn apart by a man, right?
Yeah.
That's the Tom Cruise episode, right? The Scientology.
Yes,
I believe so. Yeah,
where Tom Cruise in the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I as I'm watching this, I just kept thinking, I'm like, if there was no South Park show and these guys had never done anything else, this one little 48-minute movie is just absolutely a masterpiece.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so smart.
It is.
And it's so funny and it's so on the nose timely. And it's exactly what everybody's feeling.
Yes.
And people are so afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Disney's just going to buy Paramount and shut this down.
Right.
It's not Paramount Plus or
Right.
Comedy Central.
Right. Or what they'll probably end up doing is like making hit pieces on these guys. Like it's just like whatever they can to sort of sway the attention off of, this isn't what's going on over here.
Right.
We're busy. We're Lucasfilm. We don't do any of this stuff. Come
So
on.
how did they get away with it?
Who?
How did South Park?
I think because I felt like this forever. If this was live action, they would get ripped apart.
I
Like
kinda feel
there's
the same way.
no way
Yeah.
you'd be able to get away with material like this if it was live action.
Well, I think though that they get away with it because they've been doing it for so long, so they're grandfathered in.
There's part of that,
and they are so, I don't say powerful, but they have like FU money.
I mean, they
Right.
run
They
Comedy Central.
Can do. I mean,
basically.
the deal that they
Or
signed with
the-
Paramount is six figures. They don't care, and
Yeah.
they've already established that 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And they take down everyone, so everyone goes, "Oh, that's what they do." Because live action wise, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia does it
Sure.
too.
Yes.
They could have done this episode
Right.
and would have been the same thing.
Interesting.
Like, they could have gotten away with
That's
it.
right. I think you're actually right.
Yeah, because they've gotten away with a lot.
Brutal
Right,
things
a
like
lot.
that everyone else gets
That's-
canceled
that's
for.
so
Anyone else
true.
did,
Yeah.
would get canceled. And Tarantino.
Yep.
Tarantino gets away with a lot of stuff that I
He
think
gets a lot, pushing the bound. But it's not really like this, like making fun of anything or satire,
No.
right?
right.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
not poking holes in it. I would say like there's some comedians that get away with this stuff, right? Maybe
Oh, absolutely.
Burr.
I think
Yeah.
it's just being unapologetic.
Yeah.
So and
right.
you started out that way, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so you've established that.
Family
People
Guy.
accept it.
Although I feel like Family Guy's scaled it. Is it still on? Scaled it back.
Yeah.
They're not as harsh as they were.
No.
Well, but
They
then
also do
also
cheap
too
shows.
is like
They do
if
cheap shows,
all
yeah.
of your income isn't solely based on an industry that essentially kind of pigeonholes you into a corner where you have to say these things and do these things so that you'll work next year.
Right.
A lot of these people who are making these very risky choices in comedy and films, they have other they've got multiple streams of income from all
Multiverse
these
streams.
yeah, all these different multiverses of money just streaming into their,
Right.
it's not just one thing. And that's, when your livelihood is predicated on, now what you think is just so ludicrous that you could have one idea or say one thing and then be branded as you're this, and this now. But you could think differently about other things. But it's like, no, you say this thing, so we throw you in this category. It's like this automatic like divisiveness. It's ridiculous. It's the whole. You can feel it across the globe. It's crazy.
And you're always pushing us to push the envelope,
Yeah.
right? Because I think you feel, and there's a lot of truth in this. You feel that being genuine, pushing the envelope is going to grab your attention because people are looking for
Honesty.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is you're establishing an audience. You don't want to, if you're meeting people at a party, right? You don't want people to think you're fake right out of the gate. You want to give people a reason to be like, I feel these things and this person is actually saying these things.
Mhm.
And I respect that. And I think, too, there's a lot of young people too that feel this way as well, and they don't know what to say because it's the whole idea of this is just like infiltrated the school system and everything now. It's just like everybody's sort of, becoming, this like cookie cutter, like the music video, the Wall, Pink Floyd, we don't need no, and they're all just on this conveyor
Yeah,
belt.
right.
Like that's what it feels like now. It's crazy. You're meeting products instead of like real, genuine people.
So complete speculation. What do you think's happening over at Disney? I mean, like here's
right now,
right because this
trying to shut this live down.
we found out about it through the trades. Right.
Yeah.
This wasn't just
Yeah.
like, oh, let's watch this movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't an advertisement.
No, it was an article on Deadline that
Right.
said Kathy Kennedy gets
skewered,
by
basically.
South Park. I was like, what?
What?
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was one joke, but it's the whole episode.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah. Big time. And so, knowing her, right?
Yeah.
And not super well, but having worked with her for years. And she was, by the way, always super, super kind to me.
Yeah.
I've never had she's actually gone out of her way to be super kind to me. So I've always had that experience, and she's taught me a ton. And I've talked about that. I had a dinner with her and Frank one night, and
Frank
Marshall, her husband,
Oh,
right? When they were running, when it was just the Kennedy Marshall Company.
Oh, okay.
And, so I and even though like I'm angry at what's going on at Disney and what they did to Star Wars, because I don't, whether it's woke or not, it's just, I don't care. It feels so lazy, right?
Yeah,
It just feels like such lazy.
They actually say in the episode.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It is. And it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's like an easy. It's like
everybody's doing it.
Right.
It's the same thing. It's coming.
Right.
You're like, oh, okay. I just saw this.
Yeah.
This is not. There's nothing clever. Like I don't know how you write that and go, oh,
yeah.
This is like as a writer.
Yeah.
I don't know how you write that and feel like, oh, this is original or I'm doing something important.
Right.
When everybody's saying the same thing.
Yeah.
When everybody's doing something, say something else. But going back, just like so is Kathy's obviously aware of this.
Yeah.
Is she watching this? Like, is she?
I hope
how
she's
does she-
not.
Like,
yeah, they don't. Watch
like, is she just like,
don't look on Twitter. Don't look at
just like, hey, it's funny, satire. Like, can she look at herself and laugh, or is it like, is that super hurtful?
Well, I put yourself in there. If they said Andy Pagana 100 times, like, what's the line that we were going to put on?
Oh, yeah, it was just
Andy,
like Kathleen Kennedy's coming for you, or
Kathleen Kennedy ruined everything.
Yeah.
Quotes from the show. Like, if it was your name in there,
well, and it's
you
also
were being blamed for everything. How would you feel?
And I guess it's also coming off of there is a lot of like this isn't the first criticism of her like we talked about before, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of criticism over
Right.
years.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is this just like another really blow? Yeah. So I feel that as a human.
Oh,
human,
I feel terrible. I think because we know her and she's kind to us, and it's here's the thing. I think actually it's unfair the way they structured this, and it's funny in the show, and people know her name, but she, it's like she's being blamed for all of Disney's choices.
What? Right? Yeah.
Which
yeah,
is not true.
Not even close, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
She
they
runs Lucasfilm.
Yeah, she goes up on the Bambi set and
Yeah.
right, and it's like, well, and it makes it seem like she's Bob Iger's boss, which is nowhere.
Yeah,
near.
they're all afraid
I
of
was
her in
asking
the
you
boardroom.
guys
Yeah.
because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
of
Right.
the hierarchy,
hierarchy,
what was
yeah.
happening there.
Yeah.
It didn't
No,
really make sense.
she runs Lucasfilm. That's
yeah,
it.
yeah.
So Star Wars
Yeah.
and Willow and Indiana Jones.
And Indiana Jones. And so it's really been those
Howard
three.
the Duck. Do they own
Yeah.
that?
I guess they knows that coming
Well, I
back.
guess
Well,
it-
Disney does.
Yeah.
He showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy. So yeah. I just a lot of people out there. You asked that question.
Yeah.
Are going to think that she's to blame for a lot. Based on this episode, that for a lot that has nothing to do with her.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
if you think of the woke things, the whole point of this episode of Cartman being replaced by a black woman, that's not really what Star Wars was doing. It's not like they replaced,
No.
Luke Skywalker,
No.
right?
They sort of did it with archetypes, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, they're blaming the whole what's going on in the whole
archetypes
industry.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can even really call it that, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's how do you put a term on like when you see something that happens in a movie, right? So, like Ocean's 8, for example, right? The whole notion of that, just replacing everybody and then Danny Ocean is dead. You can feel it in the what do you call it?
Well, they replace everybody. So
in the
different
hubris of,
Right,
that content. You can feel that you're like that you're being played to, pandered. You're like, what's happening here? Versus Ellie Ripley in Alien, right? Where it's like, or Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. It's just like these are like they earned it, and I buy it, and I have no issue with it. It's perfect like that.
Right.
But when you just replace for the sake of replacing, it's like a comedian going up and saying, I like all blue things, knowing that everybody in the crowd likes blue things, and then everybody claps. It's just like it's a cheap laugh, and that's how they're trying to sell their movies now.
Well, I felt that way also, and obviously everybody did about like the Ghostbusters.
Oh, same thing.
Right,
And the same year they came out.
And that doesn't mean it couldn't have been you know, and they're not playing the same parts, but
No.
you know, they rebooted that universe, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that couldn't have been a funny movie.
No.
Mhm.
Right,
could
but
have,
it did feel
absolutely.
very forced.
Yes.
Right, and I remember thinking, man, this would have been really good if like these same 4 actresses, right?
Yeah.
And they had to, instead of like the Ghostbusters thing, you know, let's just say these 4 almost the same character, like had to do the, you know, had to become the local, for whatever reason, become local volunteer firefighters.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
And save the little town. And like,
Yeah, that's a good story.
and that's a great story. And
Right.
that cast would have been perfect.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you tone down on the you know, they're not going off a script, right? They're just improv.
a lot of that is the
And it just feels like
improvisation.
that's another thing about it. It just feels so okay. Like I know where this is going. This is actually not funny, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't think nobody would have been like, oh, there's 4 women, you know, going to see a firefighter. I'm not interested in that. Right. It could have been a huge hit, and it could have been super funny.
Well, look at G.I. Jane. Like that's exactly
Yeah,
what
right.
that is, but just with Demi Moore. And I remember that movie being insane, but also buying every moment with Demi Moore. Like, holy cow! And then she shaves her head. I remember that was all over the.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and
it
huge
was
hit.
just like, you know, it does happen, and it does happen, and it happens well if it's done well. But you can smell it a mile away now, and it's just like, oh my god. You can feel it in casting choices. You can feel it in writing decisions.
Well, and that's the other thing they were talking about in this, where, you know, they mentioned at least once and maybe twice how Indiana Jones was replaced by a woman. That's also that's not true.
It's not true.
Right, that's not true. She's just, you know,
she's a character. In
yeah,
it,
she's
and
another
who knows?
character.
Who knows what they'll do with that character?
Right.
But yeah, so that felt a little unfair too.
Yeah. So a lot of it was unfair. I don't understand. Like, I don't get why they chose her. Because that feels like Kevin Feige, if they were going to choose someone under Bob Iger, would make more sense. The things that he's put into Marvel shows and movies, right? Like,
maybe it's
like
her
what?
influence.
well,
But I feel like
they got a lot of heat for like the last Thor, right? Having who's the Rock character?
Yeah, I don't even
Taika
think
plays
what he
is
I don't
gay in it, right? You know? I'm not saying that like he can't be gay. It's just like you know, audience reactions was like a lot of this stuff feels forced because you're pandering.
Yeah, but
or
that
Q
also
in the James Bond movie. It's just like, why does that have to be? Why are we making this about this? You know, where he's like pouring a glass of wine for his boyfriend or something before
after like 20 movies.
Right.
With,
it's just like what is this? What are we doing here? This is crazy.
but that instance with what's his name? Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
What did that?
Close. I was close.
I honestly, I don't think
This is just water.
I've never been able to pronounce it.
But like
Taika Waititi.
that was his decision. Like that doesn't feel like that was an edict that came down from the top that we need to have.
But like,
this
do
in
you
the
really
movie.
think that you can make your own decisions in a Disney movie?
But also,
A
that's
franchise?
exactly
No,
it,
but
though.
I
maybe
think-
he sold it on that. Maybe it was
Well,
like,
yeah.
like he's
Maybe.
a great guy for it because this was his vision, you know.
But I just like it doesn't like, and I don't think I saw that one.
I did.
It just doesn't feel like it's an edict that is coming down that you need to have this. But in Star Wars, it does feel like it feels like nothing's more important than whatever, you know, kind of agenda they want to push, and then they work backwards from that. And it's just like,
well, then the biggest violator then going back to like who they could have skewered more that would have made more sense would be Bob Iger or Disney, right?
well, there's a problem. Bob Iger just came back.
He came back, but he was, you know, you never know how long
That's
it takes
right,
to make these movies.
Yeah.
He was there a few years ago.
Yeah.
But you could just say Disney, right? And because that's where it's the most of the attention's been, right?
Yeah.
Like how they changed the character in The Little Mermaid, and there's the Snow White coming out. Like a lot of those movies, like remaking their classic animated movies as live action and then changing the characters and storylines. That's gotten the most heat.
Yes.
Right.
Well, when it's incredibly obvious why, you know, it's just like, I mean, like look at Little Mermaid, right? That really stirred the pot. And for me, I just thought it was incredibly funny that Javier Bardem is her dad. Like there were so many things in that where I was like, what?
Yeah, but then again, they're all fish. So
Exactly. Right, exactly. But it's just
what race of fish
it's just
are
all
you?
like it just feels like they've just got a bunch of names in a hat, and they're just like, hey, I don't know, maybe not. Nothing about it feels like it's grounded in anything other than we're just trying to push this idea.
Well, I think that's also why this South Park thing is so fun. I mean, we laughed all the way through.
Oh,
and,
sure.
and I'm not going through it going on. This is, although there are moments I'm thinking, well,
Sure.
that's not fair. But
Sure.
for the most part, I couldn't really care.
Yeah.
Right, because it was super funny, super entertaining, and it feels true.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
regardless, like
Yeah.
they could have had a fake Bob Iger. Although I don't know if it would have been as funny.
No.
Like if it's
If they're gonna
if
use
you're not
Kathleen Kennedy, they gotta use Bob Iger.
yeah, skewering.
Yeah.
But even her, like they could have had a fake.
I'm
studio
surprised they
executive.
didn't have Kevin Feige in there.
Yeah,
As
Like
a
at
character,
all. They
right?
never
right?
even brought him up. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, Matt and Trey, you afraid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marvel movie? What you got? Come on.
No, that's true. They didn't. They really didn't. I mean, maybe they were just like, should we? We're literally roasting everybody we possibly can. Even the bit they did about the billionaires.
Oh yes, Elon Musk and Zuckerberg,
Yeah, and
right?
Zuckerberg,
They're
yeah.
gonna fight, right?
It's the idea that nobody is capable of doing anything anymore.
Well, and that's funny because I'm one of those guys. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Anything that breaks, I need my dad to fix it, right? I'm on calling you
Oh,
to
yeah.
help me with Photoshop. You'd help me
That's hilarious.
with the
Yeah.
cameras. You know, I got friends at home. I can't fix anything at all. And I'm like one of those guys. Be like, oh, if my job gets replaced,
Yeah.
I'm done.
I just fixed my fridge. I don't know anything about fridges, and it took me 2 days and did it. I'm proud of myself for it. It works better than it ever has.
Yeah.
Don't leave your fridge doors. Don't leave them open. The humidity gets in there. It ruins everything.
So that's
I
the
can't
thing.
even fix my own dinner. Sure, I eat out a lot.
I kept telling him to fix his dog. Hey, get off there.
But it's funny. I go back to what the episode's about. Like there is that other storyline, right? It has
Right.
nothing to do with Kathleen Kennedy
At all, right?
and all that. There's a storyline with whose dad? Stan's dad, I guess.
Yeah.
Can't fix things.
Yeah.
You know, relying on AI to fix everything, and then they converge.
It's
The
which is
handyman.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the story's it's like that is just good writing.
Right. Well, that was the idea. Is that
That's
all
great,
the
right.
handymen converge, and then they all become billionaires because they have these skills that nobody else has. Right. They all become billionaires, and then their interests are like who can go to space first, or who can buy Instagram, or who can buy Twitter, or who.
Yeah.
And it's like these very real, like arguments and disputes that are happening back and forth between billionaires right now.
Right.
The way they wrote that in there, it was so on the nose, but like incredibly brilliant.
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Nobody gets off the hook.
No.
Yeah.
Right. Like I totally felt like they were poking fun at me because I'm one of
Sure.
those guys that can't fix anything. And so it is true.
The
right?
ego on you. They
No,
know who you are.
What I'm saying is like their equal opportunity
Yeah.
in this to really go after, and even the handyman, they turn into that.
Yeah.
Right. Where it's like those are the, in a way, the heroes of
Sure.
the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Right. And I can't give away the end, but they in a way save the day at the end, right? Like you said, it
Yeah.
wraps up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all wraps up nicely. They're really good at that. That there's always like two. It's like Seinfeld would do that, right?
Right.
All these different storylines, and they would all come together
Right.
at the end.
Yeah, Larry David himself in Curb, he's really good at doing that.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
He's
yeah.
the
Curb,
king
yeah.
of it. I mean, he's just to the point where it's like every time you watch an episode, you're waiting for that twist to pay off.
Mhm.
The first like half of a Curb episode is just all set up, and then the second half is just like punch, 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 and then
Right.
the final thing at the end. It's
Right.
brilliant.
So now we're talking, what do we think about, so personally, I
Mhm.
feel like Bob Iger couldn't care less. Like Bob Iger sitting back, he's not watching this and upset. What do you think?
That definitely has an ego. That guy's got an ego. Look, these are very powerful people, and which means they have egos.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they don't like to be made fun of.
Yeah.
So like what's happened over at Disney right now? What is it? And then they looking at it and going, guys, there's truth in this. Because look at the amount of people who feel this way. We're
The fact that a whole episode got written about it.
I mean, it's more than an episode, right?
Yeah.
It's an hour
It's a
long
special
feature.
or something. Yeah.
Well, they'll never admit, right, that
No.
they're wrong.
Of course not.
It'll just be slow, gradual changes if they are thinking about that.
Right.
And years from now, we'll see a shift.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do they care enough? So like what happened yesterday is they released the Disney Snow White live action, the new
Oh yeah.
photograph.
The photo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they got that out fast because there was blowback
Yeah.
on like set photos that maybe didn't represent what they were going for, because that image they put out looks very different from The silk folk,
yeah.
right?
Well,
because
yeah.
it wasn't supposed to be dwarfs. They
No.
weren't going to do that.
And the other thing is that they're
But did they ever say they weren't going to do dwarves?
Yeah.
They said it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
put out a picture.
Yeah.
No.
7 magical
And
creatures.
They also commented after what's his name? The guy. Fuck, what's his name? The little.
Hey, watch your language.
There's
a cleaning lady.
Well, she's got to
Cleaning
clean
lady.
it. Well, Dinklage. Yeah. Peter Dinklage. He. Did you hear that?
Bit of Dinklage. Oh, is that the Game of Thrones song?
Peter Dinklage. He when he said his comments about how those like really or stereotypical casting of of his people, and like it just he threw the jobs out basically, and Disney was like, don't worry, we're gonna do Snow White, but we got this, guys. And then a year later, they really don't got this at all, and they needed to do something to try and be like, hey, Daily Wire comes out and says, we're going to make our own Snow White.
Right.
We're going to stay true to the subject matter. And with whatever, I mean, they've got money. They'll figure it out. They don't have the rights, but
Well, they don't have the rights to the Disney,
content,
which
right?
is
Yeah,
why
right.
I think
I
don't know why they're bothering.
It's
something else.
It's building up enough steam though that like anytime it's posted about that I've seen, I'm talking millions of views. Like it's crazy. People genuinely want to see, just tell us the story. Don't change it. It worked 100 years ago. It'll work again.
Well, that's why I'm like, just don't do a live action version because it already
or just
right.
that.
I
do something original.
Well, also because
No kidding,
and-
right? Like, come
and-
on.
Right.
By the way, Geekadelic just said Gina Carano had commented on this. You just sent us that,
Yeah.
and she roasted.
Well, just tore her apart.
Yeah,
And basically
because she
said,
got let go. For those of you who don't know, she
Yeah.
got let go from The Mandalorian on
Yeah.
the second season,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because she tweeted
She was going to be in the spinoff. There was going to be a spinoff
Yeah.
with her, right?
Oh.
Yeah, there was.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. She tweeted something, I mean, it was aggressive. I'm not going to lie. Like what she tweeted, I can't remember word for word, but it was aggressive.
Wasn't it my pronouns are beep bop boop or something? Like
that was
No.
the first thing, and then she got a lot of blowback for that. And then the second one was something. It was like the Nazis. It was some kind of Nazi.
she
reference.
compared like our society to.
I think it was. Yeah, it was.
based on the blowback from
Yeah.
the first one?
No, I think it had to do with like
No, I think
COVID
she-
and papers.
Yes,
and like
that's exactly what it
right,
was.
being
Yeah,
in
yeah,
a
yeah.
Nazi state. Or
It was
something.
all a COVID.
And then
thing,
they fired her. Clearly, she is at least seems to be blaming Kathleen Kennedy because
Yes.
she didn't say anything about what's his name who runs the show.
John Favreau.
John Favreau,
yeah.
Right.
Right, which there was also rumors that him and Kathleen weren't getting along.
Seeing eye to eye.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's rumors. Everything's
Yeah,
rumors. We
Is
don't
he
know.
taller than her?
I don't get
But this Disney live action photograph that they put out yesterday with these digital dwarfs, I
Doesn't
don't
feel live
understand.
action. One of them looks exactly like Alfred E. Newman from Mad
totally.
Magazine. Look
That's
it
the
up.
dopey.
Yeah.
From Mad Magazine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't he look like that?
I
Crazy.
just don't understand like the designs of these things are so awful.
Well, it's
Why aren't they using people?
because they're so from a business side, right? They came out just like you said. They'll never admit that they're wrong. So from a business side, they're still holding true to their word a year ago. They are not hiring,
They're not giving them opportunities to act.
no.
Who's they?
Disney.
Oh, no, who? Who are they? Who are they not hiring? Who are these people that are not?
I don't even know what the proper name is.
I think it's
now,
little
but,
people.
like,
I think you're
little-
supposed to say little
is it
people.
little people?
Yeah.
So yeah, they're
Well, dwarfism
People
is a
with
thing.
dwarfism.
is a thing.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right. So it's like
You can't
even
say
then,
that.
you see
Like
how
even now, the fact that we
hostility?
can't. Yeah.
What the hell, man? Like, get out of here.
Well, we've had an experience.
It's true. It's true. Can I use the word?
Yeah, I don't.
Although I only witnessed it. A little person was complaining that
You might know actually.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right. He's done a lot of acting.
Yeah.
He was in a screening and then he came out, stormed out of the theater, and I was there. It was a screening for where I work. And he said, I am offended by this movie. And I was like, oh my God, what happened in the movie? And he said, they said the word midget in the movie. And I was like, and I didn't know.
Right.
This was maybe 10
Yeah.
years ago. And
Yeah.
I said, is that bad?
Yeah.
And he said, that is our N word.
Yeah, and he was irate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, well, let me find the filmmaker for you.
Right. God.
Yeah. So that was before this whole wave.
Yeah.
It's true.
How would you deal with it? You're Kathleen Kennedy. And you're Bob Iger. All this. What do you do? What do you do?
Oh, I don't know.
Here's what you do. You make a decision and you be the captain of the ship. And you don't listen to the rest of the crew whine and complain about what's happening. It's like, just do the thing. But stop apologizing.
But that's what they've been doing.
No. They're trying to make everybody happy.
They're not.
When you try to make everybody happy,
they're listening to the vocal minority.
Right. They're not trying to make everybody happy.
Well, they're trying to make everybody happy. That's what I'm saying. Is like they're.
I think they're trying to do something that they believe is socially important.
Yes.
As opposed to just like, let's just make a good movie.
Right.
Yeah. Like people want to. I think for the most part, people just want to escape and be entertained. Right. Yeah. And like Spartacus. Right. When Spartacus came out, but true. Like there's a big message in that movie, right? That's from a blacklisted writer who is, trying to, talk about the communist witch hunt in the 60s, right? The McCarthy era or whatever. And, so he's got a message in that picture that's super hidden, right? That you may or may not get. Yeah. Right. But I don't think, like when I watch that, I don't feel preached to.
Right. But that's storytelling.
Right.
Shakespeare was doing that in the 1700s or 1600s, whatever it was. He hides sexuality in his dialogue, and because you couldn't show that on stage, you couldn't even explore it.
Oh, Chandler Isaac's joining us. Hello.
Chandler, that's not a helpful comment.
Jazz hands.
Okay.
What do we miss? Let's say hi real quick to our live viewers. We got Chandler Isaac, and we got Jessica Souza.
Hi.
And Stephanie E. Hi, y'all.
Hi.
And Geekadelic. Dylan Royer.
Those are the vocal ones.
Dylan.
Hi.
And
so we'll make the vocal ones happy, much like
and
Disney
the Maggie Soul cosplay. Hello, guys.
Oh, hi.
Throw in questions in the chat. Or comments.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
Spartacus.
Which is
Shakespeare
storytelling.
Somehow.
How they hide it. Yeah. Now it's like
in your face. Everything's in your face.
Yeah. There's such a lack of creativity. It's just like no. We people think audiences are dumb, and we're not at all. People can feel it. They can. It's like it's tangible. But if you figure out a way to, whatever your politics are, that's who you are. As the filmmaker, that's who you are. If you want to tell your story and you want to tell it based on this perspective or point of view, do it. But do it good. Do it creatively. Right. Be smart. Don't just be like, put it all out there and be like, oh, we'll see what tell stories and like myths, right? Like there's always hidden messages in myths. And this is the things that we learn from these old stories from back in the day. It's, all these biblical stories. There's always that the moral of the story, right? What's the moral? What are the morals? What are we learning here? Well,
it's like Unforgiven, which is one of my favorite Westerns of all time.
Yeah.
Maybe one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's so good.
Right. And it's like an anti-violent Western.
Yeah.
Right. It's like
that really, is violent.
It's super violent.
Right. Yeah.
Right. But I remember coming out of that movie and feeling that and feeling like, wow, it's not easy to kill someone. Right. Yeah. Like the other Westerns make you feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And that was a message in there.
Yeah.
Right. But it's so entertaining and it's so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what they just don't want to be talked down to.
Right. But also too, what as people, what are we willing to do to stand up for the things that we believe in? Right. In that movie, he lost his friend based on, he didn't see eye to eye with the sheriff, I believe is what it was. And then he was, they made a point of killing him and putting him in front of the bar and really just being and this guy who was sober, who was walked away from violence his whole life, and all of a sudden he gets this tipping point, oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, yeah.
That movie is so good.
It's so true because there's such a, nobody's really super bad in that movie. And nobody's really super good in that movie.
Yeah.
Right. And, they're going out to kill somebody they're going out to kill this gang. And like some of them are kids. And, when the one gets shot and he's begging for water, and then they want to go. And Gene Hackman, right. Who's like kind of the bad guy, but he's not. He's trying to keep peace in his town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand his side.
Yeah. I love those kind of villains, though. Those like nuanced. It's not like a villain in a Disney movie, where they just want to take over the world and just be evil. Right. I like that, the first time I'd ever really experienced a villain like that, where I didn't know if he was good or bad, was The Rock, the 1996. The Rock with Ed Harris, right? You've got this guy who's standing up for this thing that he believes in, people that he's fought in wars with that are not getting respected.
Yeah.
But the way that he does it is by holding an entire city hostage with some of the world's most dangerous poison gas.
Well, it's great. I mean, when the bad guy thinks that they're the good guy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They
are the hero of
like
their story.
Yeah. It's so
what it should be. There's probably very few purely evil people, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I also found watching the South Park thing, which I guess was written and directed by Trey Parker.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
It's so well written. But it's also, I was going to say, the filmmaking is so great. When he's running out in the street and he looks around and then the truck goes by, boom, and it reveals Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this is great. I miss good filmmaking like that, just in general.
That whole scene reminded me of, what was the movie with the sunglasses? Roddy Piper and
They
Keith
Live.
David. Yeah, They Live.
Yeah.
Put the glasses on! Like, that's what it reminded me of, those like old like 80s tricks,
Yeah.
They reference a lot of movies in there because that's like
certainly-
Poltergeist, right? Where
when they're doing the rope.
And
that's what it was. I was like, what was that from?
That's
looks
full on
But then
Poltergeist.
there was another one too when he was like, when his dad was like, come here, and he's like, we have a ride.
When he's like,
There's a ride we have to catch. I thought that was like Field of Dreams or something. Like there was something so
right. Yeah, I'm sure it's a reference to something.
It also felt a little bit like Looper. I know you're not a fan of the movie.
Not a huge fan.
Sure.
Especially when they were sitting in the diner,
to,
right? I don't know. I thought they would maybe have a moment where they were like, it's too complicated to talk about time travel, so let's just move past that.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I felt some Looper vibes. But what you guys are talking about is like, why don't they make movies like this? Why aren't they making smart movies? It's like, that's not as easy as you're making it sound. And they have to the bigger picture is like, these are all corporations now making decisions, right? So
the quality that's what it is. It's like they give you notes, right? You make your movie, you tell your story. If you don't have final cut,
right,
you get a pages of notes being like,
So of course they're pandering,
but it's not working.
No,
but it's not working because their stank is.
But it was working, right? For like, look at all those live action reboots that Disney did. There's a reason they kept doing it, right?
Right, but
they were huge.
But but they weren't jamming the stuff that they're jamming in now.
Right,
and I think that's the point of this, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, Jungle Book didn't have any of that.
Right,
none of it. That movie was so.
There was a black bear in it.
Yeah, you're right. There certainly was. No, it was incredibly brilliant. Like I cried multiple times watching that movie. I can't even watch it. It's just tough.
Well, you prefer that one? That's not even live action.
Oh, well, when I came out of that movie, the first thing I thought of was they have to do Lion King like this. And then when I saw Lion King, it was like,
sorry, I was thinking of Lion King.
No. Jungle Book. The Jungle Book.
Like
the first was like, it was so well done. I genuinely I loved that movie. And then when I saw Lion King,
it was like, what did they do?
It's Hamlet. How do you screw that up? It's like one of the greatest stories ever told, and they screw it up somehow.
And actually, one of the boldest, one was beautifully choreographed and storyboarded scenes and. Any at least animated film is basically the Nazi scene.
Oh yeah,
Lion King.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, with
Jeremy Irons scene.
Yeah.
And then that's completely gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? Like that's your bad guy.
Yeah.
You get rid of, like how?
It's insane. The other thing I remember seeing a video too of somebody acknowledging the fact that in the Disney the first one the animated film Lion King, the animals emoted. Right? Like you could see Simba and you could visually see that Simba was sad.
Yeah.
And then they made it too real.
It's so
they don't
real.
emote.
Their faces are just like if you ever look into a lion's eyes at the zoo,
I do it a lot.
it's like Michael Myers.
You're lying.
Sorry. No, it's like Michael
liar's
Myers. But it is. It's like Michael Myers. There's this dead look of a killer, like a stone cold killer.
Right.
These animals are beasts, and they're terrifying.
Right.
And we've domesticated them, we've done whatever. But like, how are you going to express sorrow in a real lion? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? It didn't.
No.
That's why it starts at the top, like green lighting these movies. They just that's the ultimate pandering, right? Oh, you loved The Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
Well, here it is again, live action.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll tell you what.
But at some point, like, look at Snow White. They're still trying this. Nobody wants this.
No.
Yeah, like,
I know.
stop.
I know.
Yeah.
They're still going for it.
I know.
Why?
Well, and they've still got.
I mean, that decision, like those decisions are probably made years ago, right? They probably had a pipeline of these movies.
Actually,
like
right,
Marvel.
right,
remember
yeah.
Marvel used to announce 5 years ahead
Yeah.
of their
Well,
movies and
and
TV
Star
shows.
Wars did that, and they
Yeah.
pulled back
Yeah.
when things didn't work.
They certainly did. Yeah, they stopped. They didn't release anything Star Wars for like over a year.
Go
wasn't
on. What's
Yeah.
in the cup? Nothing.
Go
Pour
on.
me some coffee. I'm all out.
I go on. But they were smart enough to go, okay, this is not working. We need to reevaluate.
So
And they saw. I mean, we haven't had.
is
a
that
Star
a
Wars
Kathleen
movie.
Kennedy decision? I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
think so.
she did the right
She had to be some.
Oh,
she had to have
well,
some.
with that, yeah, absolutely.
Some-
it had
some-
to have something, yeah.
Yeah, right. Because they were. Yeah, I don't know how that
With
works.
Lucasfilm, yeah, I would imagine so.
Because they probably the studio probably says, "Oh, we need X amount of movies and TV shows from you per
Right.
year."
Yeah.
And then now hasn't been a movie for a
Yeah.
while, right?
And-
Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I think since Solo? No.
What, Star Wars movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Solo?
Wait, didn't the last Star Wars movie come out after Solo?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it did.
Who's this? Oh, hi.
Oh.
Hey, yeah, Tootsie.
We gotta visit.
Cleaning ladies here. Watch your mouth, Justin.
No, Solo. There was something that came out after Solo. So, because you know what?
This is the
Because
last
my
Star
birthday,
Wars
they kept
movie.
coming out on my birthday. It was so aggravating because there were so many. There was just a stream of like bad Star Wars movies, and it was always like, on my birthday.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing. I guess.
I take the cake. The one Star Wars movie that came
Oh,
out
yeah.
on my birthday.
I was there.
Was it the Clone Wars?
Yes, Clone Wars.
Clone Wars animated movie.
In the theaters.
Basically, going back to
Let me
South Park,
just say,
the Cartman Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah.
yeah. And Kathleen Kennedy had nothing to do with it. So
Well,
stop blaming her.
I had the
Stop
last.
blaming her.
What was it? Which one was the one? The Last Jedi. Which was the one that was like the most painful?
the Ryan
Where, like,
Johnson one.
Yeah, where Chewie's
The middle
like,
one.
Yeah, whatever that one was. Chewie's eating at the campfire, remember? And then all of a sudden he's vegan now, like he won't eat the thing, and it's just like, what are we doing?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
I mean, I do now, but yeah.
I think it's so important. Hopefully the success of
Rebels came out after Solo.
Oh, thank you.
Which one?
Thank you.
Rebels. I don't know what
Rise
Rebels is.
of the Skywalker.
What's Rebels?
I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about.
So, do we know how this is doing? Are people going to?
I mean, it's a streamer, right? So they don't release numbers. But if it's big, here's the thing: a lot of people are talking about it, right?
Yeah.
It's on all social media. We're talking about it.
Yep.
So hopefully, like we need more of that too.
Yeah, it just gets people talking, right?
And maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe it's if Disney wants to do all this stuff, fine. But nobody's countering it. You're saying that Daily Wire is doing a Snow White. I mean, that's a direct counter. They're like, oh, you're doing a crappy Snow White. We're going to do a good one.
But they don't. They're not big enough, right?
But that's the thing. Like when
right?
Disney buys everything and almost essentially monopolizes the industry, they're the ones that have all the money. They're the ones that should be taking risks on independent new IP. But all they're doing is just rehashing everything. It's like they bought all of the real estate just to do nothing with and
to just repeat it.
make the same house they've all made. Yeah, it's like, why?
Well, that's what's funny too, because I remember when Phantom Menace came out and they progressively got a little better with Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And there's great moments in those.
Sure.
But they
You were
were
the chosen
kind of
one,
like,
Anakin.
they could have been better. And then, super disappointed. And so then when Disney bought it, J.J. Abrams was going to make it. And then they started coming out with this. It's like, bring me Lucas back.
Yeah.
At least they were interesting.
Yeah.
At least he had, every movie feels different, looks different. I mean, I think he actually went too far and jammed too many different things in.
I know what you mean.
Very
Well,
incoherent. But
They
I
certainly,
was excited when
Yeah.
it was going to be J.J. Abrams.
Me
and-
too.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
I wasn't even a Star Trek guy, and I love this Star Trek.
Star Trek
Yeah.
reboot was amazing.
Yeah.
it was
I actually
perfect.
didn't really care for Star Trek until I saw his.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Me too.
I was
Me
like,
too.
eh,
It's good.
whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah,
So what
first
was
two
it?
are great.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
You were saying
Oh, well-
that you were excited because J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm going against what you're saying in that I'm okay with Lucas retiring, stepping away. Because those 3 movies were not strong. They were not strong.
What, the Lucas
The
ones?
Lucas ones. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were stronger than the others.
Okay,
You
I
don't
know,
think
but then
so?
are you saying there's no other options? Is either Lucas or what Disney's doing?
Well, here-
No, I'm just saying I missed them all of a sudden because, like, if anything, like I don't think Lucas is great at like
Directing?
First of all, he shouldn't direct, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yes.
so let's just.
Directing actors at least.
But man, the characters she created.
Yes.
We haven't had since. I don't have a memorable character from a Star Wars movie
Mhm.
since Lucas. Maybe BB-8, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So
yeah,
maybe BB-8, but we have Darth Maul. We have
Darth
Darth
Maul.
Darth Maul. We have
had Watto.
yeah, what the, right?
Yeah.
I always like the what, what's his name? The Jar Jar Binks boss, the guy who runs it.
yeah.
He's no like
Yeah.
weird
Why-
right?
cultural
And then-
appropriation.
right?
Watch it.
Right,
Shredding
and
up thin ice.
then those the man, I don't remember any of the characters' names. The
Really memorable movies.
like,
Where are your action
you know,
figures?
Oh, they're taking over the Naboo,
Yeah.
right? Like those two guys.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Two guys.
Yeah,
Basically, you loved all the races.
No. General Grievous.
Yeah.
General Grievous
Yeah.
was such a great character.
But again, just his name is like that's classic Lucas bad writing.
no, it's
I
exact opposite.
I have a grievance with you.
No,
let's
that's-
call him General
no,
Grievous.
it's brilliant.
No, it's not.
It
is not.
Snape, right? From
I'm not a Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry. That's
No,
you.
but I'm
I
saying,
like
but
Harry
like
Potter.
I think they're
I like
Skywalker. Luke Skywalker.
I was okay with that.
Han
and that's
Solo.
on the nose.
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Dark Invader.
Maybe because I grew up when I was a kid, and then now, like as I'm older, I expect more than General Grievous.
Oh, I loved it.
General
I think,
Angrius. Angry. General Nastiness.
I've never really thought about that. Like,
I have a
put it
General
down.
grievance with you.
Oh, brilliant! And the other thing is, so we're jamming. We want all this equality. I'm gonna get in trouble. We want all this equality in like these movies. I look at this now and I feel like they watered down like the Empire, right? By having women in it, right? And having other races in it. It's like they were the Nazis. They were the bad guys. And
Yeah.
all of a
Yeah,
sudden
yeah.
they're
They're modeled after
inclusive.
that,
And
yeah.
it's like it kind of takes away
Hey,
how bad.
I've always said women can be Nazis too. I've defended
You have a-
women.
actually,
I said
Is
that.
that your tattoo?
It's a swastika.
And like there's something that it just takes away from kind of them being the out and out bad guys.
Yeah.
And I think we miss that. I think
Yeah.
there's not a bigger vision for this world that we're thinking of.
Mhm.
I loved the Star Wars one that Gilroy did. Andor.
Oh, Andor, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
thought I was
Oh, yeah,
not
you
going to
really
like
like
that.
that. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Kathleen
It-
Kennedy, you did good.
It kept getting better and better and better, and that was the one miscast, and she was actually great in it. There was I don't know if they're the Empire anymore in that one, but there was a woman who was one of the bad guy leaders. I was like, she's so miscast. She's so good,
Yeah.
but she's miscast because it makes them too likable that they hire a woman to play these parts.
I haven't seen
know
it,
what I'm
so I
saying?
can't comment. Yeah.
It's like when you see a female in Hitler's army. It doesn't feel the same. I feel like it makes him not feel quite as bad to me.
I know what you. I know
He's
what
gonna
you-
not comment on this.
No. I know what
Goodbye.
No, I know
What do you think, lady in the room?
No, I think it's easier to just look at a guy and just be like, oh, just bad guy, right? When you see a woman in a circumstance like that, there's also like the connective tissue of like nurturing, all of these things that sort of represent like what a woman is, And when you see them in those roles, men are a lot more disposable for that kind of stuff, where it's just like, oh, it's just another guy getting thrown off a train in an Indiana Jones movie or whatever. You're just like, I don't care. But if it was a woman, you'd be like, oh,
Well,
that
although
kinda-
actually one of my favorite girl villains
Yes.
is in
Lady
Die
villains.
is in Die Hard 4.
Oh god.
Is Live Free and Die Hard. But she's
She's the
playing
one that
Bruce
does
Willis.
karate. She's doing that.
Yeah, and she's awesome.
She's not even really a villain. She's like the hench person. She's
She's
just
right,
fighting.
but it's great. She's great casting and great scenes, and Bruce Willis just grabbing her by her hair and throwing her. And she's kicking the heck out of him.
I don't know. I
That
think
was
it's,
I
probably-
thought
I
she
think
was
it's
great casting.
I think that
it's
was-
lazy, like thinking and writing to think that you can't have a strong female villain. Or
Right, no,
in that
that's not
role.
what I'm saying.
Because
Yes.
I will use your own work against you because you did a very good job of
Whatever.
having to change your script
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
and adapt it to a female character, and
Yeah.
that's hard to do.
Yeah.
for that time period. And you did a good job. You made it work,
Thank you.
right?
Well, and
Yeah,
also
so you can do
genuinely
it.
too, like
People
Yeah.
can do it.
you
No,
don't.
I'm
you
not
don't
saying-
smell it in your movie. You
Look,
don't smell that.
no,
Like that sort of like you're trying to push something at all. Like
Right.
you
Yeah.
see it, you buy it, on with the show. Like
Right.
that actually, I'm surprised we didn't even bring that up in the last one that we talked about, because that's a huge compliment, I think.
Thank you.
know, because
Oh, we don't do compliments here. That's
Oh.
why we cut it off.
okay.
Yeah.
actually you suck.
Well, having to adapt it to,
Yeah.
to the female. Yeah, we didn't really
Well,
get into
and
that,
not have that, like, you essentially had that world right up against you in any trap. You could have fallen into any of those writing tropes of just being like, I'm just going to replace it.
Right.
That's it. People will buy it. I'm just going to replace it. But there was merit. You see this character, and I bought it. Like, I never once crossed my mind where I was like, oh, he's doing the thing that everybody's doing.
And that's the lesson. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, you want this, you want to put these, more progressive things in the
Yeah.
script. Now that's the challenge
Yeah.
for you writers and filmmakers
Right.
to do it seamlessly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
They
but-
haven't been doing that part.
No.
Right. I think having because we've had like female Siths and female Jedi, and that all works for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? They're
Totally.
great. Some of them are great.
Totally.
It's just like I think just
Well, the one with
for the Empire
blue
itself, like
sock-
visually,
Yeah.
there's something about at least in the Andor show, there's something about it that I was like, oh, it just took away from me. Like they're supposed to be the bad guys, and
That's
they
what
just
it
felt,
is.
and they just felt
Bad
very inclusive. I'm
guys.
like,
Yeah.
right,
Bad guys.
Oh,
You gotta stop
yeah.
thinking like that. Bad people. Be inclusive with you. Bad
Okay,
people.
sound like Justin Trudeau.
No, but there's something to that that we always say bad guys.
It's not
Right,
mankind.
Now, who's the bad guy?
anymore.
Oh, Kate
It's
Blanchett was the
people
bad guy.
kind.
Yeah.
right. Oh, that's right. She was the bad guy in.
But see, we say that, right?
Yeah. She was the bad gal. Because there's
The
two
bad
guys, the
gal.
in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull
Yeah.
movie, which
Yeah,
you
no.
know,
Well, yeah, we could. That should be a whole.
yeah,
episode
yeah,
Just about
yeah, we
her.
should. Right.
Miscast, miswritten, like a lot. Of
Yeah,
problems.
it has nothing to
Yeah.
do with her.
She's
She could have
obviously
been
a great
great.
actress. Yeah.
And that could have been a great part.
Yes.
That was
Oh my
just
God.
the movie.
Again, you hear it's announced. I'm so excited. I was like,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Oh
awesome.
yeah,
And then
when I heard that she was going to be that,
everything's
Yeah.
execution, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it absolutely is. Things can be great on paper, and then it's like the movie gets made 3 times, right? You write the movie, then you make the movie, and then you edit the movie,
right?
and
Yeah.
all those
And
versions.
then we have to watch the movie.
Yeah, the first version is constantly just catching up to the next version, You know.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
What happened?
Our producers are
Oh.
getting ready to
Yeah,
turn
we
off
know,
our
we know.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a hard out tonight. So how do we wrap this up?
Oh, I didn't bring any.
I'm sending my best to Kathleen. I do consider you a friend and a colleague. And I do think, well, look, you got to look at it. Their first job was to be funny, right? And then their second
you're
job.
talking about
Yeah, I'm going back to South Park. We got to
Okay.
end with South Park.
Right.
First job is be funny.
Yes.
Always. If you're a comedy show.
Spot on. Right,
Right.
from the
Don't
right
do
from the
message
beginning.
first, then comedy.
Yeah,
Right? Comedy first.
always go for the laugh.
They
Yes.
have a message in there. It's great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was collateral damage. I do think it was unfairly pointed at Kathleen Kennedy because there are more obvious targets that are more guilty of what they are saying that she did.
Sure. It almost actually kind of felt like something happened.
Personal.
Yeah,
Yes, I was thinking that too.
yeah.
And that one person wrote it and
Yeah.
directed it. And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we don't know.
Oh, that's
what,
interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Because it certainly
Yeah.
feels like that at times. I'm like, man, he's really.
because he's saying
They
that
even
name.
put her face in it when they're looking in the microscope.
Yeah, there's live.
There's
There's
actual
real
Oh yeah,
footage of
that
her.
was
live action footage. They say her name
that was so funny.
Yeah, they
probably
did.
100 times in the episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Oh,
What
yeah.
did they also say that when they did the Raiders of the Lost Ark one, that was Spielberg who wrote them like the nicest, nastiest letter that they ever got.
I feel like that's how you react to it. That's
Yeah.
what Kathy should do is just send them a letter like I laughed, through that.
But also Spielberg wasn't villainized. They kind of poked fun at them like going back and retooling.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Spielberg also went back on. He's like, forget the redo of E.T.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to retinker my own movies. It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I don't know if that.
Yeah, I don't know
if that show had anything to do with that.
Sure.
But he definitely had self-reflection of that.
Yeah.
Right.
And maybe he had it before.
You know what a really interesting play would be? What if she reached out to purchase South Park? No, South Park.
She
like
can't.
That can't happen.
Disney
Disney
could.
But that's what I'm
Disney
saying.
could buy Paramount.
What if it's like, okay,
Yeah,
like
right.
they write the letter and then they go, by the way, we want to offer you $1.5 billion for the rights to South Park. And now he's sitting there with this like, oh my God.
Yeah,
Well,
but
that would be a good. Not that.
This
but
could
like,
change my life, and I
you
would
know what you do? If I was Kathleen Kennedy, I would say, "Hey, come in for a meeting and let me hear your ideas on where do you think Star Wars should go."
Also,
right? Obviously, you have ideas.
Yeah,
Interesting.
You know what? That is
No. It's actually really interesting. The only thing is just because they can criticize what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't mean that they're going to be the guys to write where Star Wars should be.
Right.
Right. And I'm not saying they're not. I mean, they're very talented guys.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
And it is easy to criticize, which is like what we're doing. We're critiquing.
Yeah, of course.
But it's much harder to fix and to create.
Yes,
right?
and that's the thing. I think the ultimate thing about the ultimate point about the whole short is that it boils down to it's lazy.
Yeah.
Like everything that everybody's been doing with this multiverse, with Indiana Jones, with Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's all just lazy. And I think we all feel that this was not lazy. Their special, the South Park special, they worked hard at making that as funny as they can.
Yeah.
They worked hard at, the filming, the storytelling of that episode is so brilliant.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah.
And
to their credit, and they do this a lot. And one of my favorite musicals is Book of Mormon, and I've seen it a bunch of times, and I think it's brilliant. But you think it's an attack on the Mormon religion, and it's actually a very fair take on it. And I think in this episode that it was very fair. At the end, when they're having that conversation, they have Cartman and Kathleen Kennedy. It's like, well, I reacted, and then you reacted.
Yeah,
right.
So they were both taking blame. It was like blaming the creators and the audiences.
Yeah.
Right. Which I thought was cool. It was fair.
I like the notion of rather than like
I'm not taking a blame.
I like the notion of like
you
rather than,
who want the new Rocky movie every month.
Yeah, let's go.
And you don't care how lazy they are. You defend Rocky.
They're not
4.
lazy.
Justin,
We don't have a lazy. We don't have a single
Rocky
like
4 is not a good movie. It's lazy filmmaking.
This is
It's
a whole
lazy
other conversation.
filmmaking.
We're watching Rocky
Next
4.
week is Rocky
We're
4.
watching all the
We're
Rockies.
sitting there watching Rocky 4 one night.
I will
And
say
it's
that
a funeral scene.
you are part of the
funeral
problem.
scene.
I'm not part
I'm
of
not
this.
saying you. I'm saying audiences.
We're watching a funeral scene, and he's sitting there with these aviator glasses on
Don't
that
get into details.
chew
right
up
now.
half his head.
Come on.
And he's sitting there. You can't see anything going on. And I'm going, man, I wonder if he just like wasn't dialed in that day because he directed this movie too. Like
He's
maybe
hiding.
maybe he just
man.
wasn't.
He's
Don't get into this right now. Okay,
come
I
on.
turn to Andy and I'm
Come
like,
on.
this
I
is
will
this is
say,
tough.
though-
And I turn to Andy and I look
Look.
at Andy and he's sobbing.
Without sunglasses on.
Sobbing.
Without
I'm
sunglasses.
sobbing.
No, but
It's effective. Thank you, Sly.
That is the
You're
point.
welcome to take his seat anytime you want.
This is a great way to wrap it up because it should be everybody should watch this episode of South Park and also do some self-reflecting on what we're asking, right?
I agree.
From our entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great idea, Schwartzy.
We saved Hollywood.
And don't criticize our criticizing.
Yeah.
All right,
Thanks a
we'll
lot.
see you next week. We have no idea what we're going to do, but we're coming back.
Yeah.
We'll
be
be back
here.
next week. Hopefully,
We don't leave this booth. I'm gonna go to sleep now.
Get me a plate of corned beef hash. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Find CM Schwartzy and
It'll
Justin
all be in
Ted.
the- it'll all be in the
Yeah, it's
description.
all in the
Don't
description.
waste
Have
my
fun.
time.
Go watch
Oh,
stuff.
great.
And